Due to some violent content, parental discretion is advised.
Seconds, and we're gone for auto sequence start.
I hope you've enjoyed this journey through sounds.
Due to some violent content, parental discretion is advised.
This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
I hope you've enjoyed this journey through sounds.
Well, let's try to just kind of figure things out today, okay? Going through with weed withdrawals. It's gonna be okay. It's just, god damn it, I can't buy anymore. It'll just reset, and then I need to be off now. It's important to me. Even if like I don't literally have to, it's important to me. Like obviously I could probably even get another batch and like go for another week, but screw that. I don't want to. I've done that already, and I spent a bunch of money. I don't need to be spending. I don't know. It got me through whatever that was. But let me set up my camera really quick. It looks like we're not getting in right now. I need my controller. I don't know where my controller is. And my controller, none of the plugs are working because it doesn't have a connected cable. It's just like, you have to plug in any USB, and that's cool. But the USB, it like jiggles when you put it in because it's like not fully in there. And also like, I've put in a lot of hours of Final Fantasy 11. Sometimes I just feel like, why am I playing so much? Like, why aren't we doing something else? Why am I not doing anything else? And it's like, of course I'm doing other things. Like, of course I'm doing other things. Just because I'm playing a video game and it, you know, doesn't mean everything else stops, you know? Everything else keeps going. Just a sec. And some things kind of on my mind too, bothering me. Just stuff that's been going on in the world, and what the hell? Ah, keep knocking everything over. Please. Stop falling over stuff, please. Rebecca. What are you gonna do with yourself? So much potential, but like no idea like how to use it. Story of my life. Wish stuff wouldn't fall all the time. Wish gravity would stop working. No. I need gravity to live. Alright, hello? Am I here? Am I here? Hello? Hello? Hi. Hi, Rebecca. There you are. Kind of, stuff going on in the world usually gets to me, but I try not to, you know... Obviously, you know, there's so much stuff going on in the world. Like, honestly, there's so much stuff going on in the world. Like, bad things happen, people doing terrible things, people that you, like, know and love doing terrible things. What's up, YouTube? You probably all have been, all up in the whole Justin Roiland situation. So There's a couple things that have been like bothering me about this. Obviously, the thing itself is bad. But what really bothers me is that my first thought when reading the article was, what does this mean for Rick and Morty? And that made me feel really terrible. And right after that, I saw a video of another, it was like a story of a woman who, for like 48 hours, she had like this boyfriend that was like, had a gun and like was, you know, false imprisonment and all that kind of stuff, abuse and threatening, and how terrifying that was. And how if it was anybody but Justin Roiland, nobody would be thinking any single freaking question about how terrible that is. But, you know, I'm not even going to go like innocent until proven guilty. Like, it's pretty obvious. And then even Dan Harmon's like, oh, it's an open secret or whatever. And then obviously the evidence is pretty damning. But honestly, you know, still, you know, we can't just live in a world where, you know, looking guilty is the same as guilty. You have to go through it. It's just really frustrating because with stuff like sexual assault or rape or false imprisonment or domestic abuse or anything like that, it's that a lot of the times there's no evidence, except for unless somebody leaves physical evidence, DNA evidence, or written evidence or some kind of footage. And unfortunately, as much as we like to kind of celebrate, like as much as we kind of like to celebrate when like, oh yeah, like that, you know, that guy, justice is being served, like look at this guy, this rapist. But for every single rapist that goes to prison, there's like 100 or more who just keep going on and doing what they're doing because nobody can do anything about it. Like the women they're with, or the men. But the women, let's just be real, this is a women's issue. I don't care about all this PC bullshit. Okay, I'm trans, I'm a woman, but, you know, I'm not going to go claim that, you know, I know that it does affect me when stuff like abortion, because I can't get pregnant. I mean, I shouldn't be allowed to, but I you know, that's different. Okay, like I'm allowed to be upset about someone controlling an entire demographic's body, okay? And that affects me too, because they also want to control my body, as a woman and as a trans woman. So, you know, that's a little bit different. But, you know, it's like, I know people like to say like, oh, separate the art from the artist, but when it's certain things, like J.K. Rowling is a good example, you can't differentiate what she created, like, from her. Like, she owns like an entire like business website. She owns the intellectual property. Like, if you give anybody who owns Harry Potter or who is licensed to do anything Harry Potter related, you're supporting J.K. Rowling. And just like that, like, you know, like you can't just recast Justin Roiland. Like, he's literally Rick and Morty. Like, what are you going to do? Turn it into like a joke? It's basically over. It's over. And I should accept that. You know what? And as bad as that feels, how do you think she feels? And now there's going to be all these people, all these Rick and Morty fans. I bet you there's going to be, I mean, it's already happening. Like there's all these Rick and Morty fans probably going to her fucking email or trying to find wherever the fuck they can on social media, assuming she didn't delete everything. And probably just constantly, like, you know, death threats, harassing, like, oh, how dare you soil my hero, Justin Roiland. Like, is it so far-fetched that your hero is a terrible person? Like, instead of coming up with all sorts of excuses, why can't you just admit that it's okay that you liked a show and that it's okay to feel gross about it now? And you know, doesn't change the fact that whatever happened. Like, he broke the law. He did a bad, and worse than that, he committed a crime. Because you could commit a crime and not break the law. You can also break the law and not commit a crime. It's possible. But, you know, even if he's technically, like, you know, dismissed or whatever, this is not going to change anything. Your reputation is there for a reason. And there's, you know, obviously, you know, I don't want to discount the random, you know, there's always going to be the outlier of like the person, you know, the woman who actually did make everything up. And that has happened a few times. I've seen some cases like that, you know, like stuff when they talk about it, like on YouTube and stuff. But I just like, I have to really like dig in and like kind of like ask these questions like is it terrible for me to be upset that Rick and Morty is gone, and when I'm also upset that somebody was taken advantage of by someone who you know, is in a position of power to, and it's really fucked up because it keeps happening over and over and over again. And then these people that, you know, everyone has such a short attention span. As soon as like, you know, some new movie comes along or some new bullshit comes along, it's like they completely forget. Like what are we going to do though? Like, what about all the people who put their heart and their soul and who are, you know, absolutely innocent in this whole thing? Or possibly even victims, like people who are like, you know, who knows what would have happened, like what he's done with like people on staff and stuff. Like why does, like, I mean, I understand that, like, okay, it's just a TV show and all that. But like, why do all the people who work on that show have to be on the receiving end because one member of the show ends up being a creeper? You know, and it's like, you know, like it's just terrible. Why are these people allowed to like freaking just control, like completely like like shape our entire culture with artwork and with all that stuff? And you have all these great works of art that we can no longer appreciate because every single time we look at it, it leaves a bad taste in our mouth because of the person who created it. And I know that, like, you know, canceling can go too far, but at a certain point, like, when can we cancel people being shitty people who, like, why can't we just stop being shitty people? Why can't we stop that part? Like, I know that, like, people are like, oh, the world's always going to be a shitty place. Oh, so I guess we're just supposed to give up then? I suppose we're just going to have to be abused. We're supposed to just take people's sexual abuse or their emotional abuse or their, you know, all that kind of stuff. I guess we're just going to take that because, oh, I guess the world's not ready to change. I'm sorry, but, you know, I guess women might be able to have, you know, equal rights, you know, equitable rights, you know, maybe in 100 years. And then 100 years go by and they say the same thing. And I don't know, I really, I really feel, I have to acknowledge that I feel weird because I'm going through withdrawals. Like, I quit weed. I'm not buying anymore. I'm tired of, like, I was weaning myself off, but at a certain point it's like, okay, well, if I buy more, it's not weaning. It's, so I'm gonna have to, like, you know, put up with this, you know, discomfort, you know, for a little bit. That's fine. It'll be over. I just, like, I'm like, when I get like this, especially though, I see things about like my life that are like, why can't you're going to play anything today? I'm trying to find a way to get my controller to work. Visiting statue. I was just going to play video games and not even like talk to the cam, but like I also noticing, and this is another reason to get off of weed. I deleted Fortnite. I don't have too much disk space, and I have other games I wanted to play, and I also have stuff. I didn't want to have like my whole hard drive taken just for games. So I deleted some games that I don't really play too often. Like Fortnite, Apex. Whatever. It's all good. I'm like a 0 viewer YouTuber, so like, what does it matter? I can do whatever the fuck I want. Like what? I mean, unless you give me some money. If you give me some money, I'll do whatever. I'll do that. But yeah, chess. I mean, that's one thing. But I mean, you know, it's not going to be like, you know, you give me money, entertain me kind of deal. I'm sorry. There's a lot of other people out there. I do what I do and I give it away for free and I try to be entertaining. I apologize. I'm really depressing sometimes. And I'm also not very attractive sometimes. I also apologize that I'm not very entertaining or that I'm not very funny, but I'm doing really, really hard trying to improve things. And, you know, a lot of stuff is just, you know, this can't really be helped. It's just the way my life is right now. Just like there's certain things that are just like I can't just do everything. And even then, I don't even have any responsibilities really, except for like my doctor's appointments. And like I'm trying to get my life together and I just like, I don't even know what to do now. Like, I'm talking to the camera, but like I feel so freaking like, I mean, obviously a lot of this, like I said, I'm going to dismiss a lot of this because it's like going through weed withdrawals. But there's other stuff to it. Like I honestly like don't know what to do unless somebody shows me that it's a possibility. And that scares me because I was like hanging out with a friend the other day and, I don't know. It's just like, I'm realizing some things about me that are like, kind of like, I mean, they're not bad. It just kind of bothers me and worries me. Like, how come I'm unable to think about things that I want to do? How come I just have to do with whatever I feel like? And it's like I do know what I want to do, but then how come I lose faith in the process? Like there's the other problem too. Like I'll do something and I'll continue to do it for like a long period of time, and then suddenly like I'll feel like it's not going anywhere, even though when I see that it is. And then like I just don't know what I'm supposed to be doing unless I know it's what I'm supposed to be doing. Because otherwise I'm like, oh, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? And like just like thinking about like how messy my house is and how hopeless it is just trying to get myself to clean. When like what am I even going to do? Like I don't even know how to clean this place. I've cleaned it so many different times and it always gets back to this. And then like I don't want to just sit here playing video games. Like I know that I really get into, you know, my video games, you know, when I get back into them, but then I kind of like level out after a bit and it's like, okay, well, I don't want to play right now. I kind of just, but I don't have anyone to talk to and I don't want to bother anybody. And I don't know. I feel like I don't I feel like I don't deserve the same kind of attention that other people do. I feel like other people are more important than me. That like, oh, well, you know, I'm just, you know, I'm just me. Like, you know, they can go, you know, like if there's two customers arrive at the same time, right? I literally think that the other customer is more important than me and that they should go first. Not all the time. Obviously, sometimes I'm going to be like, okay, I'll take... Obviously, that specific example is terrible, but you know what I mean? But yeah, like there's this feeling, and I've been trying to discuss, and I haven't particularly talked about it too much. I've talked about it sometimes about, you know, I mean, transitioning. It's more than just a medical thing. It's also like a social, and it's also a very spiritual thing. But there's a concept, like I think like around 2021 or so, sometime like maybe like mid 2021 or so, like probably towards the end of the year, I started having this feeling that like just feels like panic. And like I just anytime I into like and then I started seeing things very differently. And now suddenly like now I'm kind of frozen. And it's not my fault. And it's terrible and it affects a lot of people, so it's not unique to me. But I call it, you know, like it's like finding out that Santa Claus isn't real. And by what I mean is all the things that I thought about life and about what it was like for women particularly was wrong. And I don't and then when I see other people who are wrong, it makes me so angry because they don't know. And it's usually, and I don't want to like target guys with this, but I'm going to say it's usually guys. Because like they don't have to deal with like constant like either like undermining, you know, abuse, physical or sexual, you know, not only that, you know, a whole bunch of stuff lumps into the sexual abuse. And it's not even what people think it is all the time. Because a lot of the time, it's not like outright like someone being, and just like with racism or just like with anything really. People like to think that like, oh, like, or like people like, I don't know what I was talking about. But it's like now every time I listen to a woman talk about something, I'm thinking like a whole bunch of millions of things that are like, oh, is this what she's actually talking about? Like, is she okay? Is she being abused? Or, like, or it's like or it's not even a negative thing. It could be like a positive thing. Like for example, I most of my life, I've really not been a very like sexually active person. Like my whole adult life, my whole life, I've only been with 4 people. My whole adult life, I've only been with 4 people. So it's like, a lot of people will say, there's a lot of women out there who can't say the same thing for both of those. Right? Some people, they were, had to go through childhood trauma and stuff. And then there's a whole bunch of dudes out there and it's not their fault. And I understand why they would get like, they get super offended when people are like trying to ruin something that they enjoy. Just because of like, oh, well, don't you know that guy's a rapist? Or don't you know that the guy who made that is like a child molester or something like that? Like, how come we celebrate Alice in Wonderland? It's written by a literal child molester. Like, how come Disney made a whole fucking movie out of it? How come we're celebrating something written by a child molester? And the question is like, well, it's because like it's bigger than just the person. In fact, if we just, eliminate something because of the person, then it doesn't get a chance to like move away from the person. Like for example, there's been like, I don't know, because it gives more power to the creator if you like, I don't know, at a certain point though, it's like, I don't know, it's a really difficult situation because I know there's so many different things that you could like jump back and forth between on both talking points. Because you could say that like, oh, but it's like everyone has the right to creative expression. You shouldn't cancel something. But then it's just like, well, what are we saying when we're like consuming things that are created by terrible people? It's basically saying that we approve of those terrible things because there's no repercussions for their actions. They get to continue to work and make a living while all these good people who are victims are being punished. And then when they come out about it, they get harassed by the internet. And by, when I say the internet, I also mean real life. So it's like, like, what are we supposed to do about this? Like, what are we supposed to do about these terrible things that are happening and people refusing to even acknowledge that they're happening? They're like, oh, lighten up. Everybody's gone through a tough childhood. And it's like, and then these guys are like, oh no, nobody wants to date me. Me. And then you got these like, and then, they're like they like a fictional encounter, for example. Like, let's say there's like some guy who's like attracted to this girl and this girl's like, woman. And like, and like when she was younger, like she went through some trauma and like this guy has no idea and he's never gone through any trauma like that. And he's had a relatively like, clean, like, no fucking trauma or anything like that. No bullshit. And then he goes up and he's like, oh, hey, I'm kind of into you. Like, you want to, and she's like, oh no, thanks. And he's like, what are you doing? Like, I'm just like trying to like, it's like, dude, like there's dude, shut the fuck up. Like go back and like maybe think a little bit more. Like about why, like nobody owes you a date. Like nobody owes you sex, but also, like, see, here's another thing, because here's the thing where I'm still like I'm not gonna like try to say, like, if you're gonna say there's two sides, there's the person who's offended that someone is trying to like, that someone broke their worldview, and then there's the person who is like, they see reality and they just showed reality to that person. Obviously that person is not wrong. Reality is what it is, and showing it to other people doesn't make you bad. But these people are pretty bad because what they do is they get offended that someone says, hey, like, by the way, you know how many women are raped and approached by men and like all that kind of stuff. This guy's was like, oh yeah, but why are you lumping me into all men? It's like, well, because if you think about like the daily, like if you are in a situation where every single day there was somebody constantly, harassing you and making you feel like you're not safe, and then how are you going to feel comfortable meeting a random stranger who's attracted to you? You're going to feel like that person's going to hurt you. If it's happened before, especially. Doesn't mean everybody will, and that's a different thing, but it's not your job to do that. It's the victim's job to do it on their own time when they're ready. It's not your job to do it for them. And I sometimes forget that when I'm talking to people about stuff, because sometimes I'm so open about stuff. I'll talk about stuff that, really openly, and I've learned better the past couple of years, but sometimes I worry that, like, am I just being really insensitive? Like, am I like saying things that are hurting people? And I mean, here's the difference: is these people that are actually doing bad things, they don't say this thing. They don't have that conversation. They don't. And I like to think they do but you know why I think that is because that's what I do. So, good people often get ignored and they often get shoved aside because the people who are abusing them are seen as some kind of like reliable, like pillar of the community kind of thing. But people are getting tired of it. And it's been changing a lot. So it's not like it's like not changing, but it's just still going on. And people don't fully understand the scope of it. They think that, like for example, they think racism is like some dude saying that, like, like the N-word, or that like, or like, calling a black person like some kind of like a gangster, even though he's like just because he's wearing like a sweatshirt, which lots of people do, not just gangsters. Lots of people wear sweatshirts, but for some reason, a lot of people might feel like they're under attack, like my life's in danger because I see a black man coming towards me. Like, what the fuck? Okay, like not all racism is like outright like acts of, and not all hatred, like, whether it comes to like racism or transphobia, homophobia, misogyny, all that kind of stuff. What was I talking about? Do you wear makeup? You really like my lips? I feel and look like shit right now. I don't wear makeup usually, not unless I like have a reason to. Usually I'm just like, I don't know, like usually I just kind of just wake up out of bed. I mean, honestly, like, this is not a gender problem. Like, guys and girls, I mean, men and women have problems, and they're human problems. And so, like, a lot of things we associate. For example, most people think of women as being very cleanly and organized. But then there's some women, and, for the longest time I felt like I wasn't allowed to be a woman because of this. But, like, some women aren't tidy and cleanly and actually are very, very, very disorganized and messy. And then some guys are very, very attached to their clothing or the products they put in their hair or their skin and stuff like that. But there's also women that don't give a fuck about that. So it's like all these stuff that's like hardwired into people's brains. It's been falling apart in our society, and it should. It's never really needed to be there. I don't know why so many rapists are allowed in industries that people who are genuinely good people and talented people are struggling to just get a foothold in. And then we have all these people making these, like, I mean, let's be real. Okay, I'm not going to say, okay, first of all, it's more than just from Roiland, who made Rick and Morty. Fuck you if you're going to attribute the whole thing to just him. But he is a significant part of it. And I don't want to, like, try to defend him or anything, but you have to understand, he is a human being, and human beings do terrible things. Doesn't mean you have to forgive them, and you know, doesn't. But I mean, it's like, I think if there's anything, like stuff like Rick and Morty probably channeled some of that toxic shit out of him. And like, obviously nothing's ever, you know, if you're something's deeper than surface, obviously. And surface level stuff like putting your energy into your work is not going to solve it, because it's too surface level. It's obviously a lot of work, right? You can make a lot of excuses. You could say, oh, well, you know, I don't want to work on myself because I have a deadline to meet. I can't go to therapy. I can't deal with this. I have a deadline to meet. And then there's another deadline. And then there's another deadline. At what point do you say, like, you know what? Why don't I just say, like, there's always going to be a fucking deadline. Why don't I just do what I need to do? And so you finally do what you need to do, and you find out it's not as easy as you thought it was. And then maybe you give up, and then maybe you have to, you're right back where you started. But you're never right back where you started. Because if you go to therapy long enough, you find out that life isn't this, like, hard-coded thing. You know, you aren't who you were in the past, and you can never change that. And you can only change the present. And if you continually to act in the present the way you have in the past, then you haven't changed, have you? Not that you have to change, because everybody has to go to the bathroom and sleep and eat food and drink water. So, you know, we're all hopelessly addicted to that. I need water now. Oh yeah, and then there's all this self-doubt stuff. Because here's what's going on in my mind. Rebecca, you're streaming. Let's try to make a YouTube recording. Rebecca, you're trying to come up with to say. It sounds terrible, but you're going to do it anyway. Okay, Rebecca, you're looking at the video. It's a really shitty video, but you're going to edit it anyway. Okay, Rebecca, it's a shitty video. You want to delete it, but just post it anyway. So I'm done with that. I learned how to get past that a long time ago. I can just, like, I don't care if it sucks. I'll just do it, because in order to improve, I have to keep doing it. If you stop doing it, you're never going to improve. So I think it's ridiculous when people, you know, like, are complaining about people who aren't good enough, or who are too slow, or who aren't talented, or whatever. You know, I understand I'm not super talented. Hey, Monsta, how are you doing? It's just like, forgot what I was talking about. I'm kind of like slowing down a bit. I'm in the slowing down stage. I put a bunch of time in to get, like, I'm level 29 on Thief. I put a bunch of time into, like, kind of push it a little bit past the very beginning. And now I'm kind of just slowed down. And now I'm also feeling like a little bit like, I don't even want to play. But then what am I going to do? I don't want to just be in bed all day. I feel miserable because I'm going through withdrawals, but, you know, from weed. But I'm not going to get any more weed, so I just have to put up with it, and it'll be over. But, like, I don't really know how to execute something that'll look good and polished. Because every time I do something, I just do the best I can, and then, like, I try to do better the next time, and then I just keep doing better, but then it's like, at what point does it actually get to the point where it's actually something good? Something that people actually, like, and yeah, I don't know. I know everybody struggles with self-doubt, and I do know that self-doubt, I've learned a long time ago, self-doubt does never goes away for anyone, no matter how successful they are. So don't even try, because if like billionaires, people who have, like, crazy financial success, and, you know, or even, like, life success, yeah, self-sabotage. Even people with, like, insane amounts of success, which is, you know, not just financial success. You could be you could be a successful person by achieving something that is extremely important for your life. So if somebody achieves the things that they want in their life, it doesn't have to be some crazy thing that we think of. We think of success as some, you know, like, crazy thing. Like, it has to be like, oh, someone, like, in a Hollywood movie, or, you know, becoming a president of the United States, or whatever the fuck it's going to be. Like, you know, but, like, what about the successes of, like, Yeah, but anyway, so I mean, if like even these people are having trouble with self-doubt, then I shouldn't even try. And sometimes I need a little bit of a reminder of that, but um yeah, I just feel like, yeah, I mean, all I can do is try, but like, here's the worry, and I know that this isn't a good line of thinking. Okay, I already know this. My therapist tells me this. My my case manager tells me this. My doctor's telling me this. That it's like I can't, that it's, you know, but it's possible to keep trying something forever and never getting there. And how am I supposed to know which ones are which? So all I can do is do the best I can. But what if I try to be an adult? What if I try to get a career going my whole life and I just die in poverty? I know that's a terrible line of thinking. It's like a what if that's like, obviously I can't argue with that. That would be terrible. How can I argue against that? Like, yeah, obviously it is possible that I can try for the rest of my life to just be a member of the human race. But it might be possible. It might end up never happening, but most likely will. Like at some point, something's gonna work out. But I'm so scared and confused. I don't even know how to do basic things anymore sometimes. Like, I don't know. I feel like no matter what I do, for example, like right now, like no matter what I do, I can't seem to like make my stream look good. Like I can't make my camera look good. Like, am I just incapable of doing anything well? I don't know. I just like want to, I look at, you know, I know it like not comparing myself to others, but like you look at like a bunch of other people who do like YouTube and content creation and streaming, and it's like, how come my stuff doesn't look like their stuff? Like, how come it looks like shit? And I tried so many different lighting things, and it's like, even with like all my lights on, which is like so bright that I can barely even function. Like, it just looks like crap. And then people say, "Oh, you got to experiment. You got to experiment." And it's like, yeah, like you don't think I've been experimenting with my camera, like, and my lighting? Like there's only so many combinations I can have in this trailer, in this tiny room that I have. What am I supposed to do? And then I try to make content, and it's like, okay, well, everybody else says it better than I do. You get people like, you know, Destiny and Hassan talking about political stuff. And it's like, well, I can't even get anywhere near where they are. They're so fucking beyond me. Anything I say already has been said, and it's probably been said better. And anytime I say it, I don't get any traction. These people are like super famous. They get like thousands of retweets. I say something super thoughtful. I get like nobody sees it. So it's like, what am I supposed to do? It's like this chicken and the egg problem. And I've been trying to figure it out. I'm doing so many different things, and it's kind of working. It's just it's not clear yet. Right? Like, it's not clear if my life's going to be okay. Because, yeah, everyone could say, "Oh, your life's going to be okay, Rebecca. Stop doubting yourself." It's like, well, you could say that now, but reality has different things in mind. I've been trying to build the platform I want. It just doesn't work. Like, at least the non-sex work ones. The non-sex work ones don't work at all. Like, I just get completely shoved aside. I get ignored. Like, I mean, I have an audience, but it's like, you know, you and like maybe like a few other people. Like, do you understand that like most people are just going to look at me and say, I don't fucking care about this person. Let me go away. And then you get someone like Hassan tweet something and you get fucking thousands of fucking retweets. And I put fucking entire fucking blood and soul into my entire life talking about so many fucking topics for thousands of hours and nobody fucking knows I exist. And I feel exhausted now. I feel like I can't even talk anymore. Like, I already did it. I did it when I had no audience, and now I don't have an audience, and I need it to do an audience. But, like I put all my energy into trying to just be a better person and to be a better artist and to do everything, and it just doesn't work. I just get rejected. I just get shoved aside. I'm not good enough. And you see some random ass video of some dude like fucking walking down the street and on TikTok or whatever. Like, you see some bullshit, it gets like millions of fucking views. I put a video where I'm like talking about a fucking serious topic, I get fucking 10 views. What the fuck is going on? These people getting millions of views for just fucking picking their nose. Like, I've been on Discords for years. Typing and typing and typing and typing. Oh, it's just Rebecca. Like, what the fuck? I didn't, sorry, too LDR. Too long, didn't care, didn't read, don't care. I'm like, whatever. I'm just like, you know, those are just like, you know, memes or whatever. But it's just like, at what point do I just accept that maybe I don't belong on this earth? Yeah, I do. You know, it's like, it's not even about like what I'm doing. It's like, you know, streaming or otherwise, whatever. Like, it's a separate thing. Like, you know, the activity of streaming is separate from the, you know, the potential revenue stream of streaming. That's very different, because pursuing streaming as an income is stupid. But pursuing streaming as something, as an activity, is not stupid. I mean, it could be, but and streaming has been a way for me to just like, hey, like, I have all these things going on in my head, and I don't want to like make my friends have to suffer through it. And I also like want to have higher quality with my friends where we're actually talking about stuff that's important instead of like whatever the fuck my mind is doing with my mental illness, trying to filter it and trying to like, make, comedy out of it. And I appreciate that, monster, but, monsters, real monsters. Like, I know that, like, I mean, nothing's really wrong. Like, yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, nothing's really wrong. Like, I don't need to, like, obviously, I'm always, like, adapting, like, trying to change things, but, like, you don't just change things, like, just to change them. You change them so that they can improve. So it's, like, most things just need improvement. Like, there's a couple things in my life that I, am trying to fix, improve, but, like, I feel like I need to somehow drastically change everything every day because it feels like nothing's happening. And I'm like, well, if nothing's happening, maybe I need to do something differently. And then I do something different every day, and then it never works. And so I'm always changing because people usually say, well, have you tried doing it this way? Have you tried doing it that way? Have you tried doing it this way? And I'm like, well, yeah, I've literally tried all the fucking ways and some ways that you didn't list. And like, at what point do I maybe there's something wrong with me and I'm just broken and I don't deserve to live. No, that's not true. No, I'm just, I mean, that's the problem with that line of thinking is like, I can't I can't argue with it, right? Like you can't argue with like, oh, maybe you're just maybe you're just useless, like what? Like I regularly forget to brush my teeth. I don't floss every night. Like I haven't flossed in like a week or two. And it's like it's just like these daily upkeep things about life that I just can't seem to do. And because I can't do them, I can't do anything else. Because in order to do everything else, you start out from level 0, right? And then it's like, okay, well, you got to do the basics. You got to like, you're a baby and they like, they feed you and whatever. Then you get older and you're expected to do it yourself. And then, it's pretty obvious you can do it. And then like, okay, but then you get older and then it's like, okay, well, now you still can't do certain things that other people do. And, and then they, look into it and they're saying like, oh shit, like, we're going to give you an autism diagnosis because you went undiagnosed your whole life somehow. And I'm just really scared. Like I just like I don't know. I don't know how to be the person who's able to take care of herself. I don't know how to make myself into that person. Like I don't know how to be the person who actually is able to take care of her own life. And it scares me. It's like, what am I gonna do? All I can do is ask for help, and the world seems to just not care. And so if the world doesn't care, then what hope do I have? Besides, like rolling the dice every day that I might get something right. And the one thing that was like starting to work out for me is still like I'm still having faith in it and doing work, but like like my camming and stuff. Like I show up now sometimes and I might only make like $5 a show sometimes I used to make like $100 or $200 sometimes. And it's like, and I do know that like, yeah, like obviously some days are going to not be as good as others. And I have to look at the big picture. But like some part of me thinks that like, is this just it? Is it just never going back up? Is this just, I had my chance and I failed and the world doesn't like what I have and I just will never succeed? Because the world doesn't like what I have. And then I don't know how to make content because I'm just upset all the time. This is not content. This is not content. What do I do to make content? I just feel so ugly and unwanted. And I don't know what to do about it, so I just start streaming because I don't know what to do except for just sit here and feel like shit. And so I know how to talk into a microphone, but that doesn't do anything either. Just makes me upset, and then it makes a bunch of people feel sorry for me, and then now they're upset. And there's nothing these people can do because they're not millionaires who can fix my life in a split second by just donating a whole bunch of money to me. But that's not going to happen either because I don't expect anyone to ever. That's really ridiculous. I'm not going to give up. I'm trying so hard to live, you know? Like these aren't the actions of someone who's given up on life. These are the actions of someone who's desperately clinging on, trying to make anything work. Like anything. I don't care. Like, I just want it to work. I want something to work. I want... Like I've tried so many different things trying to grow. It's not working because I can't do the things that other people are doing to grow. Every time I try to do the same thing they do, it doesn't do the same thing. I do the same things they do. And then meanwhile, all these people are, you find out all these fucking, like, successful, like, famous people, they end up fucking being, like, fucking rapists and shit. And someone like me who's actually, like, trying to do fucking good with their life is fucking being shoved to the fucking ground! Shoved to the fucking ground! I just don't know why it has to be so freaking impossible to just get any amount of success in this life. To be able to take care of life, the bare minimum of like bills and rent and food. So I don't have to rely on some bullshit government handout or some relative. I want to be able to take care of myself and work for a living. And I'm not there yet. I'm not to the point where I can just show up and it's like clocking in for work. I still need to get to that point. Like, I'm trying to get myself up to the point where I can actually show up and clock in. Where I like know that like, hey, like I know that like me showing up to work is actually going to do something. Right? Like, it mostly feels like I'm just rolling the dice every day. Like, I show up to life. I stay alive. I choose to live every day. But once you're here, if you choose to live, it means you have to do stuff when you're here. And I'm trying to do stuff, and it's not good enough. And no matter how hard I try, it doesn't seem like it'll ever be good enough. And what am I supposed to do when the only things that I seem to have any talent in at all are things that require you to be extremely popular? Like, it's not fair. How come the things that I am skilled at and enjoy doing and are passionate about and can actually show up and do, how come these things require you to be popular? Why can't I just make a living doing what I can do? Yeah, I'm gonna end stream. I'll play later. I don't really feel like playing right now. I need my controller back anyway. Like, my controller's just not working. It's disconnecting like every like 15 seconds. And like, I'm trying to like run, and then like I'll keep auto running, or like it'll keep moving the camera. Like, it's so fucking annoying. Unplayable. Like, I don't want to play with keyboard. I want to play with my controller, and I freaking hate that my controller's broken. And then it's just like, on top of that, like, I can't seem to get anything in my life doing anything, despite all the people in my life who keep continually telling me that I'm so talented, that I have so much potential, that I have so many things about me that make me a good person. None of those things ever work out. None of those things ever do anything for me. Anyway, I don't know what to talk about. I'm going in circles. I don't know what's good it's gonna do. I have no like fucking like I have like nothing going on as a content creator. Even my Even my sex work stuff is nowhere near like where it needs to be. But you know, I show up and do it anyway because what choice do I have? I want to live. But of course, you know, it's like nobody cares. People aren't going to do anything about it. They're going to say, "Oh, Rebecca," and I'm not trying to say that it's bad that people, you know, care. What I mean is, like, there's so many people out there that are like comforting me and telling me that things are going to be better, and it never gets better because you know why? Because I'm still in the same situation as I was. Nothing has changed about the situation. So when people ask you if you feel better, it's really fucked up. When the thing that needs to change hasn't happened. And the only way to make the change happen is for the change to have already happened. Because how am I supposed to go out into the world and earn a living when I can barely even get past this? This basic, like, despair of hopelessness. Like, how am I supposed to create my artwork? How am I supposed to be successful as a content creator if I can't even make my content because my life is so fucked up? I can't fucking get it together! Like, why does money have to be so impossible to make? Why does it have to be so fucking unobtainable? I don't understand why something that you need to survive is not a like a legal right. Like if you need money to live, then how come money isn't given away to everybody? Like how come if you need housing and you need food and you need water to live, then how come water and food and housing cost money? If you need it to live, why does it cost money? Oh, why don't you go get a real job? I work for a living. Oh, you just want everyone to give everything to you. Fuck you! Fuck you! I have absolutely no fucking idea how fucking hard I fucking work to make this fucking brain that is absolutely insane to just function! And instead of actually doing the thing that will actually solve the problem, people do everything else. Literally everything else. oh, you know, life isn't just gonna give you handouts. Oh, why don't you go work harder? Why don't you go do this and this and this and this and this? Oh, life isn't just gonna hand you out. It's like, but bitch, I fucking did! And it was the same exact fucking thing. Why people give absolutely zero fucking shits for people who actually need help. They'll give millions of fucking dollars to people who already have millions of dollars. Like, what the fuck? Why are people pouring money into giant fucking streamers' wallets when people like me can't even fucking survive? I can't even fucking survive! Where is my money?